Hey, Richard.
Hey, Josephine, I was at work this morning and I got a report from one of my colleagues. And on that report, it was about the railroad disaster that occurred today. And under fatalities, Brentley Mallard's name was at the top of the list. And I just wanted you to know that Louise isn't really going to have a good time with this, knowing that she has a really bad heart condition. So it's up to us to give her the news as softly as possible, knowing that it would probably devastate her if we gave it to her in a blunt way. So, yeah.
Wait, who again? Yeah, I can definitely help you out. I guess we can both just break the news here as soon as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, Brentley was a really, really good friend of mine, and it's just as difficult for me as it is for you. But we really need to be there for her, to break the news to her as gently as possible.
Yeah, I just go to her house tomorrow around 4. Okay? Alright. See you later.
Knowing that Mrs. Mallard was afflicted with a heart trouble, great care was taken to break to her, as gently as possible, the news of her husband's death.
Hey Richard, hey Josephine, what brings you guys here?
Can we please come in? We have some things to discuss.
Yeah, of course, come inside.
Well, I'm pretty sure you heard about the accident this morning.
The train accident, yeah, what about it?
Yeah, well, the list came out of fatalities and your husband was actually in it.
No, my husband died? I need time alone. I need to be alone.
There stood, facing the open window, a comfortable, roomy armchair. Into this she sank, pressed down by a physical exhaustion that haunted her body and seemed to reach into her soul. She sat with her head thrown back upon the cushion of the chair, quite motionless, except when a sob came up her throat and shook her, as a child who had cried itself to sleep continues to sob in its dreams.
My husband. Richard.
She was beginning to recognize this thing that was approaching to possess her, and she was striving to beat it back with her will, as powerless as her two white, slender hands would have been. When she abandoned herself, a little whispered word escaped her slightly parted lips. She said it over and over under her breath.
Free. 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 Free.
The vacant stare and the look of terror that had followed it went from her eyes. They stayed keen and bright. Her pulse beat fast, and the coursing blood warmed and relaxed every inch of her body. There would be no one to live for during those coming years. She would live for herself. There would be no powerful will bending hers in that blind persistence with which men and women believe they have a right to impose a private will upon a fellow creature.
Luis, I need to be with you. Open up.
Go away! Leave me alone, please!
She arose at length and opened the door to her sister's importunities. There was a feverish triumph in her eyes, and she carried herself unwittingly like a goddess of victory. She clasped her sister's waist, and together they descended the stairs. Someone was opening the front door with a latchkey. It was Brentley Mallard, who entered a little travel-stained, composedly carrying his gripsack and umbrella.
Oh, Louise, I'm home.
Mr. Mallard, she died of a heart attack. Of joy that kills.
Hey, Luis. I was at work today, and one of my colleagues put a list in front of me, and it was about the railroad disaster that occurred today. And I just wanted you to know that Brentley Mallard's list, yeah, Brentley was a really good friend of mine, and it's just as difficult as yeah, Brentley was a really good friend of mine, and it's just as difficult as it is to me as it is for you. I'm not saying that.
Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, hey, Richard. Hey, Josephine.